Today is Tuesday, September 14, 2021, and we're coming live from Atlanta for a special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. A group of brothers here in Atlanta, they meet on a regular basis. I was invited to speak to them, and so we're going to be talking with them about a variety of issues. First of all, will we see an end of black mayors here in Atlanta? It's a mayoral election that could happen. Also, Atlanta is known as the Black Mecca in terms of business. What is the future for a black business in the city, but also for America? And also, what is the impact on the Georgia voting bill on the rest of the country? And lastly, we'll talk about the need for black America to be reprogrammed with John Hope Bryant, founder of Operation Hope, plus Dikembe Mutombo, who is our host. He is an international ambassador for basketball, and we'll talk about the role that he is playing when it comes to basketball across the continent, but also education. Folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, we are here in Atlanta at the home of Hall of Fame basketball player Dikembe Mutombo, where there's a group called Just Brothers, where they meet on an annual basis. And so some are here in person, others are virtual. And so I was invited to speak to them. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I guess I'll figure that out later. But we decided to say, hey, let's also, I was always going to do the show, of course, and they said, hey, can we incorporate the brothers who are here into the show? And I said, well, why not? Because that's what happens when you own it. And so we're glad to be here, looking forward to this conversation. A lot of different things we're going to cover on the next 2 hours, and we certainly appreciate you guys being with us. Also, I'll be talking with the sister who is the first black president of Greenpeace, the environmental organization. I'll be talking with her on today's show as well. But first off, we are here in Atlanta, and as anyone who understands the history of this city, African-American mayors have transformed the city in a tremendous way. Now, remember, the last election, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms won by just 400 votes. The question is, could we see the end of African Americans being mayor of the city of Atlanta? And so we wanted to kick off our conversation this way. So joining us right now is the former mayor of Atlanta, Bill Campbell. He joins us. Glad to see him here. Also, John Hope Bryant told me they have a rule that you're not supposed to wear ties to this meeting, and so you didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo as well, and so I could have came in some sweats, but I didn't want to be too casual, but we certainly.
I wanted to fit your show, sir.
There you go. So you did it right, of course. And one of our elected officials here in Georgia, Roger Bruce. Glad to have both of you here. So how we doing?
All right.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. A lot of people, Mayor, don't understand how the demographics have shifted in Atlanta. When we talk about other cities, Washington, D.C., people talk about how the explosion of growth in Prince George's County, well, a lot of people left Washington, D.C. Same thing here. Although people say they live in Atlanta, they actually live in Lithonia, or they might live in Gwinnett and other areas. And so how has the demographic shifts of African Americans moving to other places, bolstering those cities, impacted the voting population that's in the city?
Well, when I was elected in 1993, the African American percentage was almost 70%. Now it's 47%. So there has been.
African Americans are 47%
in Atlanta, correct.
The population or the voting age?
Population.
So Atlanta, the city, is no longer a majority black city?
Correct. But the leading candidates for mayor in the election, which will be in about 2.5 months, are African Americans. One male, one female. One, the former mayor, Kasim Reed, and another who is the president of the city council, Felicia Moore. So I think you will continue to see African American leadership in the mayor's office for a number of years to come. And in fact, let me just also say that with the migration of African Americans in the surrounding counties, it's been a great positive, because in all those jurisdictions, they have been turning out tremendous numbers of voters, and they have changed the dynamic of those counties, which were largely suburban, some almost rural. Cobb County, where the Braves Stadium is located, that's now almost entirely run by African American leadership, mostly African American female leadership. Gwinnett County, DeKalb County, all these, Henry County, Clayton County, these are suburban counties, and they were totally run by whites for many, many years, and very conservative, by the way, and that's all changed. So even though the dynamic for Atlanta itself has changed somewhat, those suburban counties who turned out in great numbers to shift the entire paradigm for the U.S. Senate with Warnock and Ossoff all came from this outward migration. But still, the fundamentals are from Atlanta. That's where the roots grow. This is where all people know that you vote all the time. Runoffs. The only place in the country where African Americans turn out in runoffs is in Atlanta. That's why Kasim Reed won by only 500 votes in a runoff. That's why Keisha Lance Bottom won 500 votes in a runoff. African Americans turn out all the time because that's the history of Atlanta. Dr. King, the civil rights movement, the colleges and universities, everything about Atlanta is geared towards making certain that we understand how precious the right to vote is. And of course, we lost the paragon, John Lewis, back in July of last year. Think how much he wanted to understand that voting was fundamental. And of course, there's the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill, which is still bottled up in Congress. If we can get something that will stop these places, Georgia, Arizona, Texas, and these insane efforts to try to stop people from voting, it's almost it's un-American. But yet they're trying to do that in some way as a tribute to Donald Trump's efforts to try to undermine the legitimacy of the election. So African Americans are going to have an African American mayor in Atlanta. There's almost no doubt about that. But the migration outward has made a real difference also. So I think you can rest assured that Atlanta and perhaps Georgia, again, will play a leading role in the politics of the country.
We often talk on this show about the role that voting plays. And then I get people all the time who say, man, you always talk about voting and we don't see it. And what I'm constantly trying to do is connect the dots, trying to get people to understand that there's a direct correlation between who gets elected, contracts, services. Maynard Jackson wins in early 70s. African Americans were getting 0.0012% of all city contracts.
Right.
And so you don't have the economic shift in Atlanta without combining the political power that shifted the economic paradigm.
Yeah. But, you know, as the mayor just stated, you know, we've created new cities around Atlanta also. The city of South Fulton is 92% African American, and it's the 4th largest city in the state. And we just created that 5 years ago. And and what has happened with that, and with all of the migration that he talked about into these other cities and these other counties, we have been able to change the dynamic around the economic piece. Because we now control it. We control
and again, for the people who don't understand, we talk about the economic piece. We're talking about bond elections. We're talking about all type of contracts that are coming out of the city, out of the school district, out of the county.
Yeah, even simple things. You know, the school systems, the city, the government, got to buy toilet paper. Got to buy it from somebody. You know, so if we had a contractor, a black contractor selling toilet paper, you know, he'd be doing pretty good right now. Because I'm assuming everybody uses it. So.
Yes, that's a good bet. That's a good bet.
Yeah, so
there are very few guarantees in life. Wiping your ass is one.
That's my point.
This show is called Roland Martin Unfiltered, so we can say wiping your ass, it ain't no problem.
But that's my point.
Because it's black owned.
We need to own. But that's what we need to do with more things. We need to own it. And one of the issues that we have in Georgia, I'm a state representative, so the issue that you just talked about for Atlanta, that exists in the state. We have less than 2% of the state contracts going to African-American businesses, which is crazy. We represent, we spend $26 billion in state money, and then another $26 billion in federal money. And less than 2% of that goes to African-American companies. So you're right. We've got to find ways to own it and to be able to control who gets the contracts. And you do that by turning out the vote and putting people in place that make the decisions around contracts and all the other things you're talking about.
And the reason I brought that up, because what has happened is, when you talk about those state contracts, you've had the state folks who have been desperately trying to get hold of that airport.
Well, interestingly enough, the airport, which is named half for the person who really was responsible for the growth of our airport, Maynard Jackson, every brick, every flight has all been done by African-American mayors, starting with Maynard Jackson all the way through. So when you see the busiest airport in the world and you understand the billions and billions of dollars of contracts, of those people who work in and around the airport, all as a result of the African-American leadership coming from the mayor's office. But also, let's go back to the fundamentals about why it's important to have these elections and voting. Because in each of these places that you talked about, Roland, they are electing African-American district attorneys. So the fundamental issue of justice, which almost always comes from district attorneys. You know, there's so much talk about the federal government but these decisions are made on a local level, and they're made by DAs, and these DAs really have no oversight. So the fact that Cobb County,
because they are the chief law enforcement officer,
absolutely,
in each one of those counties.
and they are a power unto themselves. But now with these elections in these suburban counties, who were almost invariably, they were white and conservative and more likely Republican, that's all changed now. So we're now seeing a paradigm shift, and that makes a real difference in the dispensation of justice. So I think you have a real appreciation for what Atlanta has meant and what it now means for these outlying counties who are now being changed fundamentally. And I will continue to say that this election is going to be essential for where we go as a country. I believe we are now in an existential battle for the heart and soul of America. It's not just the mask or vaccines. It's about whether or not we're going to move forward or whether or not we're going to allow Trumpism to take us back. And so I think that's what you have to understand. The voting in California today on a recall election, all of this is about the efforts to undermine democracy. Mm-hmm. And every election now, think about this. If the Republicans win, it's a good election. If they lost, it was stolen. So I mean, that's a heads I win, tails you lose. I mean, there's no way you can ever have any sort of assurance that we're going to have the kind of democracy that we've had and relied on in the past. That's why voting is so fundamental.
And of course, this was ground zero earlier this year for the voter suppression bill that went through the legislature. Because and look, it's a fight for democracy, but I also keep laying out that we're also battling white fear. That what this is really about is scared to death that black people are turning out, scared to death that Native Americans are turning out, others are turning out, and they see what is coming because they're going to have to do in other parts of the country what white folks in Atlanta learned.
Yeah.
They had to share the power and the money.
Yeah, exactly. And we're in a situation, when democracy was working for white folks, they like democracy. It's not working for them
Right.
anymore. So, I mean, deep in my heart, I really believe that they're trying to change the form of government that we have.
Oh, no. That's not just your heart. No, that's in reality.
Yeah.
That's what the takeover of the Supreme Court was about.
Yeah.
That's what control of the federal bench was about. Because if you do have black folks who are in power, if they sue, they go to the federal courts, they can always throw those laws out.
They throw them out. And that's what this is all about. It's changing it so that they can stay in control. We were talking the other night, and it's almost like apartheid, that they want to take us back to what South Africa used to be and be able to control it as a minority. When you look at this filibuster that they're doing in Washington, that's the minority controlling the majority.
Right.
And so they're trying to do that in Washington, they're trying to do it here in Georgia, they're trying to do it all over the country, and people better pay attention. We were talking earlier, and I'm scared to death about what's happening in California. If they get rid of that governor, and that black guy goes in there, and he changes the form of government that we have in Washington, I mean, a black person being responsible for changing the balance of power in the United States against black people, it's hard for me to fathom that.
Oh, well, first of all, Larry Elder is one of the most evil, demented individuals out here, and he's a brother that Harriet Tubman would have left behind.
Yeah, or thrown. He said, keep him.
Or shot him. And I don't mince words. I don't play. I saw some tweet by Megyn Kelly that she talks about how dare these folks criticize this man's daddy went through Jim Crow. I was like, well, clearly his damn son didn't learn nothing.
He didn't learn nothing.
And so they must went to the school of Clarence Thomas being raised. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but the thing that the last question for both of you is this here though. I believe though that there are a lot of people out there who say, okay, I hear you, but they don't see or feel the impact of voting. And so
no, they do. They actually do.
Well,
they just don't appreciate it
well,
because
but,
it's the
well,
schools, it's the
right, but,
it's the justice.
But that has to be properly explained because
Yes.
what I've said is, it's not going to work to say somebody died for your right to vote. They like, okay, sorry, that ain't flying with me. And so I fundamentally believe that we have to have a resurgence of citizen education workshops and class that walk folks through that. Because, again, for that person who doesn't watch this show or they're not reading the newspaper, they're not looking at sites, they're just kind of like, man, I don't see it, I don't feel it, all this will sound the same. And so we've got to walk folks through that, and that means going back to those neighborhoods and going back to precinct captains and block captains and literally retraining, because you do not have the level of citizenship training in school that you used to have.
But that's how Ossoff and Warnock were elected here in Georgia. It was a door-to-door effort. It was re-educating. It was getting people back to the polls, the old fundamental ways of making certain that you're contacting your neighbors, your relatives. Right. And that's what actually happened in Georgia.
Right, but what I'm saying is that has to happen when the election is over and then in the off year. And saying, we need you coming to the city council meeting, the state board, the school board meeting, the state legislature, because, again, we're very good to me at mobilizing around the election. But the election is the end of one process. It's the beginning of another.
Yeah, we've got to do it year-round is the bottom line, and we got to do it early on. They're not teaching these kids anything about black history in schools.
Well, they're fighting it.
They're fighting
right.
They're fighting
Which is why we got to relaunch
Yes.
freedom schools.
Yes. And we've got to have grandma, grandpa having, come to Jesus meeting right at home. And we need to invite the neighbors over. Just to your point, we've got to go back to the way we used to do it, where we're touching people face to face, and we're educating people on what's going on in this country. Because right now, we're in trouble.
But ultimately, demographics are destiny. And what that means is that the fact that more young people are voting, Asians are voting Democratic, Hispanics are voting Democratic, more African Americans are turning out and voting, more suburban women are voting Democratic. It's destiny. And that's why you're seeing the efforts to try to literally stop people from voting. But that's not going to work ultimately. We just got to make certain, as you say, to educate and motivate and get people to the polls.
Well, it's destiny in some places. The Texas Monthly just had an article how a number of Latinos in South Texas flipped in a huge way, 200% and 300%, going from Hillary Clinton voters to Donald Trump voters. And Democrats were just sort of assuming that was going to continue. But many of them...
They're not monolithic. They're not monolithic.
Right. But many of them are identifying with white values as opposed to minority values. But again, that's where, to me, the education has to come in. And so, at the end of the day, for us, we can't wait on anybody else. We've got to maximize our numbers. Gentlemen, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, got to go to break. We come back. We're going to talk about COVID, its impact on this state, and what we are going to do to ensure that African Americans are fully aware of getting vaccinated. Also, we'll talk about black economics in Atlanta, but also broadly across the country. All of that and more as we hit the special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered from the Just Brothers meeting here in Atlanta. We'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network, in a moment.
I believe that people our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing.
The challenges, there's so many of them and they're complex, and we need to be moving to address them. But I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany, I know this road.
That is so freaking dope.
So a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, you know, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike other, because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore, it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website, and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club.
Floyd's death hopefully put another nail in the coffin of racism.
You talk about awakening America. It led to a historic summer of protest.
I hope our younger generation don't ever forget that nonviolence is soul force.
Priceless.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
It ain't just about hurting black folk.
Right.
You got to deal with it. It's injustice. It's wrong.
I do feel like in this generation, we've got to do more around being intentional and resolving conflict.
You and I have always agreed.
Yeah.
But we agree on the big piece.
Yeah.
Our conflict is not about destruction.
Conflict's going to happen.
Hello, everyone. It's Kiara Sheard.
Hey, I'm Taj.
I'm Coco.
And I'm Lily. And we're SWV.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered here in Atlanta. Let's talk about business. We spend lots of time on our show. That's why we have our segment called Where's Our Money? Every Tuesday, we also have the Marketplace segment where we feature black-owned businesses. And so, guess what? We've got three CEOs right now. On the far left, my far left here, Maurice Stewart. We have Michael Russell and Tommy Dortch Jr. Maurice, tell folks about your company.
So my company is Outsourced CFO Group, and we help small-owned businesses, primarily black-owned small-owned businesses, to raise capital and manage capital for their businesses.
How long have you been in business?
About 14 years.
Okay.
Yes,
Michael?
Now, I'm Michael Russell. We are in the real estate and construction company, H.J. Russell and Company. We are celebrating 70 years next year.
The largest in the country.
Thank you, John.
Well, you can't leave that out, Doc. I mean, you got to sell it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And build the tallest building in downtown Atlanta.
See, there you go.
Yeah. I got my people with me, man. I'm right.
Right. You got to get that 30 second. You got to nail it, Tommy.
I got it.
Yeah, I've been in business 27 years. I own 6 businesses, a little bit north of 300 employees. I'm in parking. I'm in mattress manufacturing, consulting firms, and, of course, my transportation company. And I've been in business 27 years. I decided after 16 years with the U.S. Senate I needed a real job, so I created it.
Yeah, precisely. Let's talk about that, because one of the reasons in creating this show is I wanted to be able to feature voices that, one, you're not going to see on CNBC, Bloomberg, ABC, NBC, CBS. And so we've had a number of businesses that we feature every Tuesday. Because I get these people tell me, man, you need to have this person on and this person on. You need to have Claude Anderson, or you need to have this expert. And I said, well, I can have people on who can talk about the need for black-owned businesses, or I can actually have the black-owned businesses talk about what they actually do. And that, to me, Tom, is really where we are and where we have to be, because at the end of the day, it's not just about having a business. Right. It's building capacity and growing it. You know, pre-COVID, there were 2.6 million black-owned businesses in America, but 2.5 million only had one employee.
Yeah, right.
Average revenue $54,000. And I said, no disrespect, if you got just one employee, I said, no disrespect, that's not a business.
Right.
So we only are dealing with 100,000 black-owned businesses with more than one employee. That is not going to get it if we're talking about being able to move forward in the future.
And we gotta grow it, and that's important. I'm at a point now I never would have imagined. My father was an entrepreneur, and it took me 22 years in public service to really get back around to it. But what I've understand with the most recent contract that I signed back in April, and I never would have imagined I'd be where I am. I now will have exceeded $200 million since I started business. But I spend a lot of my time helping other businesses to grow, because that's very important. And working, work with Michael's father. His father is a legend. And we designed the diversity and inclusion programs at Hartsfield-Jackson, thanks to the great Maynard Jackson, who started a program that still exists, been tested in all the courts. But we designed the diversity and inclusion program for his father that managed that $5.3 billion expansion. We did $1.6 billion, mainly with African-American-owned business. You have to be intentional, but you got to have leadership. But also, we had to train people. We did financial management, Construction Business Management Institute. We did all of those things, but our businesses know how to do the work, but they got to also understand how to manage the money, how to make sure they value their employees. But with that, you also got to have leadership that understands it should be inclusive. As Maynard told the people, corporate Atlanta, if you don't pay the way to make sure that African-American business owners get a piece of the action, then we won't build a new airport. And he held out until they...
And said there will be tumbleweeds going down the runway.
Right.
But Michael, that's the thing right there that I keep saying all across the country, of this new crop of black leaders. They've got to have that level of courage. Right. And then, granted, you've had Supreme Court rulings since the early 70s, but there are still ways to be able to get it done, but folks got to actually do it.
You're right, and you're absolutely right. Those type of political leaders are far and few between today who have the courage and the fortitude of a Maynard Jackson. But you do have them, and you're right, Roland. It takes a very intentional focus to make it happen. And we're working in areas where that is relevant, but it is rare. I mean, you really need the right political leadership. They need to have the right support around them, and it makes a difference because firms like us, too, as Tommy mentioned, we've been around. I'm fortunate to run a second-generation business, which is super rare, obviously. But, the reality, we tend to hire more people that look like us. So that's real, too. We put people to work.
And that's my point. We talk about build capacity because we are far more sensitive to the issues. You have black-owned businesses that are hiring folks who are formerly incarcerated, willing to work with folks in different areas. And so I've had people get mad at me. They're like, man, you keep going off on these companies when it comes to black-owned advertising. I'm going, well, how in the hell you think we're going to hire people? Right. I'm like, if we don't get the money, there's a reason CNN does $1 billion profit. Right. There's a reason they're in 200 countries and they have thousands of employees. I said, because they have capacity. Sure. I said, so would you want us to sit here and continue to saying, oh, let's be fine with having 12 or 15? I said, no.
Right. No doubt. I mean, you have to have scale. I mean, scale creates opportunity, and we, and frankly, we as an organization are really being more intentional about how do we hire more black vendors? How do we partner with more black firms? And we have an institute that we've set up about growing black entrepreneurship. That's a whole nother entity that we could talk about. But I think firms like us that do have scale and have impact, we have to be very intentional about our efforts in hiring more black people.
Maurice, when I was at TV One, here you had this black-owned company, and every time I had a big interview, they would send a white photographer. So I remember so I was like, okay. I said, now, I want everybody to eat. I said, but y'all do know them white networks ain't hiring black photographers. Right. And so finally, it was when I had the Bill Cosby interview. This is right before all the news broke with the allegations against him. And I'm interviewing him and this photographer. He's taking pictures and the flash is going off. I'm like, don't this fool know we shooting video? Like, using that. So I walked to the PR person. I said, don't you ever send... I said, y'all going to send a black photographer who understands how to shoot black people. I said, now, I don't care who the hell y'all hire for the rest of y'all stuff. Y'all going to find somebody black. And I said, I advise y'all not to make the mistake again. This was her first day on the job. She was like, what the hell did I walk into? And so when we would travel to do our show, we would go to L.A. I would go, no, I want to, because I don't do that cold food. Don't come in that box lunch stuff. Okay. If y'all got a box lunch business, sorry. I can't stand cold food. I said, no, I want a black restaurant. Yeah. I said, we're going to use black limousine companies. I said, because if we are not hiring them, I said, it's a good bet other folks are not hiring them.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you talk about intentionality. And so it's a good time to be black in business, in my opinion, right now. There's a lot of money out there. Access to capital is being made available to black businesses. The government's got a lot of federal money that's coming down for black communities, but we have to take advantage of it. And we don't know about it a lot of times. And so I worked with a lot of small businesses that were looking for PPP loans, and they weren't able to get them because they weren't set up like a business, like an enterprise. So you have to be able to do
Yeah, because a lot of black-owned businesses were using folks who were 1099s.
Exactly.
And you couldn't get more of the money if they're not full-time.
Exactly. Exactly. So you have to have yourself set up right. You got to operate like a real business, not like a hobby. And then once you start doing that, you can get access to being a vendor for the city, being a vendor for the airport. There are communities with federal dollars that have opportunities, but they don't have anyone looking to them to reach out and say, hey, look, you need to take advantage of this, whether it's for sewage or for broadband. So we need the communities to know about what's out there and be intentional about going out there and getting it.
But it's also, Tommy, is understanding the business of the business.
Correct.
There are a lot of people who are enamored with the idea of saying, I got my own company.
Right.
And their business card says CEO.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, yeah, but you broke.
Right.
And so I am constantly trying to walk people through. There are people who in content. I was literally going with, I was sitting down with somebody, and they were asking me, when we started this 3 years ago. And I was sitting with them, and so I was trying to walk them through just understanding the most basic things. I said, so you take these cameras that we're using here today. These are Canon C300 cameras. The body alone is $9,000. You throw the lenses on it. Now you're talking about $20,000. That's just for one camera.
Right.
I said, well, we started. I said, I could have spent $20,000 on one camera. The problem is I got one damn camera.
Right.
I said, that makes no sense.
Right.
I said, but then when I bought the Canon XA25, they were $19.99 each. I got 3 of them. I said, it cost me $6,000. And then I still had $14,000 left over to buy some other stuff. I said, now, we grew into buying. Now we got 5 of these. I said, we grew into buying them. I said, but you can't be stupid and get enamored with, yeah, but it looks great. I'm like, yeah, but you got one.
Right.
But that's understanding the business of your business.
And you got to understand the bottom line. And I have to say here, one of the things, I've lived in Atlanta 50 years, and we have been fortunate to have a phenomenal lineage of mayors. A lot of the work I did with the city was under Bill Campbell. And there were challenges, but let me tell you, Bill didn't back away. Each mayor had kind of a different value system and a different, I think, talent they brought to the table. Bill being an attorney and all, but when they challenged the DBE program that we had, Bill rallied a lot of us business folks. At the time, I had not even had a contract with the city of Atlanta. To be honest, my contract was with Herman Russell, but it was important for me to make sure that those businesses had access. And so we pulled folks together, and we went after the businesses that have benefited and said, look, you're going to put money up like the rest of us for us to defend this program. Mm-hmm. And we did that. Bill appointed me as chair of the Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority. We built Phillips Arena. At the time, is now State Farm without one penny of taxpayer money because of its creativity. And when we look at Atlantic Station, and we had black people involved because Maynard was the godfather, and everybody followed him. Ambassador Young brought a different talent, and Kasim brought a talent, and Keisha brought a different talent. But the key was all of us stand together, and even to this day, they're still trying to keep people in. But we have to understand we've got to teach and help our folks. Because when I was with the Senate, I helped to create at least 31 multimillionaires with Sam Nunn through procurement. He was one of the most powerful senators. But I had to go sit with, I remember this one guy had a phenomenal restaurant, made SBA make money available to him, and I drive up, and he got a red Porsche sitting out in front of his restaurant. So I had to go have a little come to Jesus with the brother because SBA, I knew they were going to come in, and when they tried to take his loan, I had to pull a muscle on him, but I had to sit him down and say, look, you haven't made it yet. Why are you putting this? Because one, your customer's going to leave. Right. And other folks going to stop. So we have to teach our people how to be good business folks and to be there for them. And that's what with this Innovation Center that H.J. Russell is doing and building, the Atlanta Business League. We've been working, one of the oldest business development groups. But I say to everybody, we've been blessed, but we have to share those blessings. That's why my wife and I give away at least 1/3 of everything we earn back to community and with my foundation, because I understand I'm not the smartest, but even though my relationships, I hold everybody accountable with these other companies. They got to reinvest. PPP, I have Wells Fargo calling me. I had the people from BB&T. I went to National Unity Bank. because I knew all of our black businesses weren't getting those opportunities.
Right.
Went to a black bank, New Birth,
because there were fees associated
and they
with the PPP,
that's
and
right.
that's why the major banks were sucking a lot of that money
right.
up.
Right.
And my church, New Birth, with our friend, we went to Citizen Trust. The 100 Black Men of America, we went to Citizen Trust. We used black banks because there are only 18 left.
Right.
And we went to those black banks and invested our money. We got our PPPs from them, and we continue to move. But we have to understand we can't expect folks to give us opportunities if we aren't providing opportunities ourselves.
And Michael, that's why we are literally building out our new studio in D.C. Lighting company, black. The drapes, the green screen, the black drape company out of L.A., they black. The set that was built, brothers built that. The new set that's being built that. The engineers who did our control room, black. So it wasn't hard finding them.
Right.
Bottom line, you just got to look. I do want to talk about, though, and this is something that constantly bothers me, and I've spoken at a number of black chambers of commerce events all across the country. Rarely on the agenda, mergers and acquisitions, and joint ventures.
Yeah.
And I gave a speech at the Department of Transportation. There was a sister came up to me when I was done, and she said, the last 3 years, my partner and I, we have been preparing to sell our business. She said, it wasn't until listening to your speech that it hit me, we could actually go acquire somebody else.
Right.
And that's also part of the deal when we talk about capacity. You talk about Herman J. Russell, when y'all do business in other states, y'all have partnered with other folks.
Sure.
As opposed to saying, oh, we can just do all this stuff ourselves. Talk about why that's also valuable to build a business, having a partner with someone, not trying to be in your own silo, saying we can take all the money ourselves.
Well, it's a couple things. One, it's about risk management. I mean, sometimes partnering is about managing your risk, particularly if you're talking construction, which is a risky business. You need to have a partner who you think brings value to the table like you do, both financially and technically to help. Secondly, it gets to leveraging. You know, how do two firms come together and 1 + 1 = 3? You know, which really it can be technical, it can be political, it can be just skill set around a certain thing. And three, for us, I mean, we've probably done more joint ventures, frankly, than any African-American firm in the nation. Historically, it's helped us grow our capacity. You know, we've been able to build people. Now, the key is being able to keep those people. After you have them on these jobs, you have to, continue to work hard to grow your human capital because, really, I mean, you're in the service business, and service business is people. So, and that's always difficult for black businesses is how do you grow people and keep them? And certainly for my business, it's difficult because particularly in these times, the majority of firms love to get a black business person that's been with Russell for 10 years. And I've trained them. I've grown them, so you really got it. It's a very tricky proposition, but it's critical to be able to grow your enterprise is how can you grow your human capital, which means, as a business owner, you got to, keep your humility and understand that it's not all about you. It's about your people and being able to grow. It's a bit to grow and retain people.
It's so funny you're talking about that. Dr. Ebony Hilton is with the University of Virginia. We've had her on our show numerous times, talk about medical issues in COVID, and just got signed as contributor to MSNBC. Yeah. And so she, because of that deal, no longer can appear on our show. And I've got folks that are like, oh my goodness, but you built these people up. I said, no, it's all good. I said, I'm going to go find another 15 doctors. And then if they hire those 15, I said, that's cool. I'm going to go find me another 15. Yeah, I said, y'all, because trust me, when you turn on all these cable networks, most of the black people you see, they all came through me.
There you go.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to go find some other black people.
Right. See, you've grown capacity. I mean, you've grown capacity, and that's so critical. Only when you have black companies of some scale can you start to train and grow people. And you're right. If they got it in them, particularly to be an entrepreneur, hey, you know, we came from entrepreneurship.
Right.
I mean, you know, I can't hate on somebody who wanted to be an entrepreneur.
I literally had one of my young ladies. She left to go to another company, and she was all scared. She's like, "I thought you were gonna get mad." I was like, "I said I ain't never got mad when somebody left."
Yeah.
And I've never tried to talk somebody out of leaving.
Right.
And people looked at me like I don't understand why. I said because if you felt that you made the decision time for you to go, I said I'm good with that.
Right.
I said I'm fine with that. Now I'm gonna go find somebody else.
Sure. Right.
I said so. I advise you. Don't come to me trying to bluff.
Don't come in 3 months. Huh?
Right. Well, or don't try to come bluffing, saying, well, maybe I can get more. I said, no. I said, because I'm going to let you leave.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you leave. Go ahead. You want to make a point? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say earlier, you talked about entrepreneurship, and I think it's one of the underrated forms of becoming an entrepreneur is through buying a business. And so when I left corporate America, I bought a business. And I went through the process. Do I start a business? Do I franchise? And that's what we think of as entrepreneurs. But when you buy a business, you can buy a company that has a stable cash flows.
Right.
They have a history, so you know where your customers are coming from. You've got something that you can build off of. That's how you get to 1 + 1 = 3. And now they've got what's called the silver wave. So you have a lot of baby boomers that are retiring. These people have had businesses for a very long time that have been successful. We can come in, leverage capital that's out there and available, and buy something that can replace our income multiple times over using a limited amount of cash. And so I think something like M&A and buying businesses is something that's very, very underrated that we should be talking about a lot more in our community.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I mean, I know I probably have done 30 different events, and M&A has not been on the agenda of a single one of those conferences. And I said, God, I said, I don't know. I said, you're not. I said, the day of being John H. Johnson launching a magazine and 65 years later, I said, you're the largest. That's gone. I said, it's just not going to happen. Right. Real quick before I go to break, I do that actually this because the thing that also drives me crazy, and I would love to know how have you had to deal with this, when you're dealing with black folks who want to stay in silos. When we launched this, I literally went to every major black-owned media company and I said, I don't need to try to sit here and build it by myself. Right. Nobody wanted to partner. And I'm sitting here going, none of y'all have digital. What are you doing? I'm coming to the table with 3 million fan base. Right. What are you doing? And and I said, if Fox and Disney and Comcast are all acquiring and merging, what makes you think we're different? I look at some of these cities. I'm sorry, and I tell people that there's no reason to have more than one black newspaper in any city. I'm sorry. You're right. The economics make no sense whatsoever.
Right, and that's what I look at what Bill Picardino's been doing by buying them up and trying to joint those through.
Their biggest mistake was letting me leave.
Yeah, right.
Because they didn't listen to my advice.
Right.
And they came back and they were like, damn, we should listen to you. But again, that's one of those things that when you do buy something, listen to the folk who know what they're doing. Because what they're doing, what they just announced, this website thing they just announced in 2021, I had them there in 2005. They would have been 16 years ahead of the game. So that's also part of the deal.
I know, I got you. And I like what John, I know you're going to interview him shortly, John Bryant, and what we're doing at Operation Hope with the 1 Million Black Business piece to try and grow and scale those. But you're right. The important thing is I've had people who were partners, and when I found out I was doing more work and doing more of the cash calls, I bought them all out. And I realized in business, now Bill Picard can be my partner anytime. If he's doing $1 billion worth of business every year,
right,
that's the kind of partner I want.
Right.
And then one of my partners was the former president and CEO of Aflac from Cuba. Good friend, close brother. Brought him in, but I had some great friends who are good people who are in public service and good people that can do whatever, but they didn't have the business acumen. And you find out, gotta go. I told them, you buy me out, I'm buying you out. And I have only 2 partners. I have my partners with Bill Picard and Mattress Manufacturing, and then I have the partners in the parking. And these young white guys came to me in '96. I have my own parking company, and they came to me, wanted to create company called Landcore. And that's Lanier Cornerstone. Lanier is the biggest parking company in the southeastern region. And so when they came, they said, we don't want you putting any money in. We just want you affiliated, your name. We create this company. You're the majority owner of the company. Let me tell you, we have done, even in that deal, north of $75 million since we came. And I'm the CEO and chairman. Now, they had all of the knowledge, but I had the management skills. And I told them, now I'm coming to the table with more than just my name.
Right.
But I've done that with a lot of black-owned businesses. That's important. Not black business, but black-owned business.
Right.
And so there are some great brothers and sisters out there in the business. I was just with Case Lawal, your home, and he's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Started at Fort Valley, graduated at Texas Southern. So you got to look at people who are in the business. Like you said, if they would have combined like the efforts to try and get black banks to combine earlier, we'd be farther ahead right now. And so you're right, Roland. You can't be afraid, because for me, I'd rather be with my brothers and sisters, because we're all going home. We're going in the same neighborhood, and some are going up other places. I'm in Cascade Heights. I'm where your dad and everybody else, where the black money. I mean, and I'm so proud. People going to Buckhead, and they're finally getting crime up in Buckhead. We've been dealing with it in our neighborhood for years. All of a sudden, it's a crisis, when in fact, it's been going on for years, but now they get hit with it. But all of that, it's just simply say, we got to learn to trust, because if I don't eat fast food anymore. Well, I hope my sponsors don't hear that. But I don't eat fast food. When I go to...
You know you eat fast food. You try to say that so your wife watches. Stop fronting. See, y'all, Tommy lost a lot of weight, so Tommy like Luther. This is like big Tommy, little Tommy. Big Luther, little Luther. See, that's what we got going on right here. So that was for his wife. That's it. He had nothing to do with his partner. He was like, my wife listening. I don't want her to know I got me a burger. Come on here.
But we have to remember, there are a lot of our people who go have a bad experience with a company that's black owned. They am not going back.
And they have bad experience. White folks
mistreat you, and they can't wait to get back. Right. But what I do is take a teaching moment. If I go to Buckhead, and I'm at, let's say it's at McDonald's, and I get great service, and I go to Bankhead, and little sister say, "What you want?" I take the time to have a teaching moment. But I call that manager.
That's right.
And I say, I'll be back, but you got to give me the same thing. Your food, your menus are the same. You got to train these young people. And that's what our people got to understand. Give us service. No longer do our communities go because you're black, even though we got to get them back to be that way, like the Sweet Auburn's. But we have to teach, but we also have to make sure that we are doing our part. And when it's wrong, you don't just leave. You sit and talk with them, because sometimes they don't know. And
when you don't know, you don't know.
That's part of it. But Atlanta still has one of the largest black business ownerships, and we have to keep moving and working. But I wouldn't live in any other city than Atlanta.
All right, then, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I would, Houston. But I'm from there, so you know.
I was with the mayor last weekend.
That's what I'm just saying. I know he's a good alpha man.
Just come to the Omega chapter soon, okay?
Gentlemen, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. When we come back, folks, we're going to talk with the first black president of the environmental group Greenpeace, and more from Atlanta. We'll talk about black education, COVID, and also the need to retrain or reprogram the minds of black America. And we'll chat with Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo. All of that next on Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting also on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment. First on the show. Now, see, now you know you can't walk in front of the camera. Oh, my God. Yeah, you got to duck. Oh, my God. Come on now. All right. And so, you know, we're always covering first on this show. And so she is the first black executive director of Greenpeace. Ebony, how you doing? All right. I'm not getting Ebony.
I'm here now. Can you hear me?
All right, now I can hear you. All right, so how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, Mr. Martin?
I'm doing great. First of all, Mr. Martin, my daddy, I'm Roland.
You Roland, okay.
Tell me,
well,
so there are a lot of people out there who don't know what Greenpeace is and what they do, so let our folks know.
Sure. So Greenpeace is the largest environmental campaigning organization. We're a global organization made up of about 57 offices across the world. We have an office in the U.S., well, 2 offices in the U.S., and we are here to fight ecological destruction And of course, climate change is the biggest thing that we're focused on right now. So we do that through creative communication and also nonviolent direct action.
And so, first of all, you know, a lot of people may remember Greenpeace stopping lots of ships in the high seas in the 80s and 90s. How has Greenpeace adjusted its strategy? We're not operating more in a digital world, and so how are you trying to educate the world on to be more environmentally sensitive, but also bringing in African Americans and getting people to understand the impact of environmental racism on black communities when it comes to our water?
So yes, we have evolved over time where most of our work in the earlier days were around toxics and testing of nuclear sites and pushing it back against administrations that were trying to cause damage. What we have been focusing on over the last 20 years, as you know, climate change is the biggest existential threat to the human population right now. And we know Black and brown folks are on the forefront and disproportionately impacted by climate crisis. So we have done a number of things, including reports that we've partnered with Movement for Black Lives to educate folks on what fossil fuels and really what the gas and oil industry is doing to destroy our planet, and also how that dark money operates within oil and gas, and also holding administrations accountable. Right now, of course, the Biden administration, holding him accountable, holding his feet to the fire so that we can get the solutions that we need for more clean and equitable, just climate solutions, which we have the answers right now. We just need someone that is bold enough and will take action in this moment.
Obviously, it's important coming to this platform, talking to African Americans. What is your plan to bring more black voices to the table? We have Mustafa Santiago Ali, of course. I'm sure you know his work, environmental justice. But how are you looking to expand the African American input when it comes to environmental issues?
So we know that African Americans, a study just came out by Yale that showed 60% of African Americans are concerned and alarmed about the climate crisis now. The problem is no one is talking to our folks. Also, we know that the environmental movement historically has been white-led. And what I'm excited about now in my appointment in this role is to be a bridge, more so to speak, for the Black community and the larger, broader environmental movement. We already have a vibrant environmental justice movement led by Black and brown folks that has gained steam, but we aren't talking to folks. We aren't talking to people. We aren't telling our constituents what you need to do. How can we fight back this crisis? How can we hold our elected officials accountable? What are we looking for when we vote? So these are some of the things that we are doing. We have a Build Back Fossil Fuel report that we just released a couple of months ago that speaks to the destruction that's happening and also gives clear next steps for people to do and action that they can take so that we can build a more just and equitable future for us all.
All right, Ebony Twilley Martin, we certainly appreciate it. Good luck as the new executive director for Greenpeace. And where can folks find more information to reach out to you?
Sure, always. We are on Twitter, greenpeace@usa.com. And also you can text us at 86799. Text volunteer at 86799. We have teams all across the country that can mobilize your community and get you involved and give you solutions to push forward in your areas.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And, of course, you do great with that last name.
I'll tell my husband.
Do that. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Folks, going to a break. We come back, we'll talk black education here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Before Till's murder, we saw struggle for civil rights as something grown-ups did.
I feel that the generations before us have offered a lot of instruction. Organizing is really one of the only things that gives me the sanity and makes me feel purposeful.
When Emmett Till was murdered,
yeah,
that's what attracted our attention.
When you study the music, you get Black history by default. And so no other craft could carry as many words as rap music.
I try to intertwine that and make that create whatever I'm supposed to send out to the universe.
A rapper, you know, for the longest period of time has gone through phases.
I love the word. I hate what it's become, you know, and to this generation, the way they visualize it.
Its narrative kind of like has gotten away and spun away from, I guess, the ascension of Black people.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
I'm Shantae Moore.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. Obviously, our children are indeed our future, and Big Brothers Big Sisters plays a huge role in reaching them, teaching them, and preparing them for the future. Joining us right now is the head of Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Metro Atlanta. Glad to have Kwame with us. Kwame, first of all, how you doing?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
So, one of the things that so many people they've seen the commercials, they've seen the promos, things along those lines, and we're now operating into a whole different environment with COVID as well. And so, how has that impacted Big Brothers and Big Sisters being able to serve the needs of the young men and young women who come through your various centers?
Well, for starters, I like to say the need has just gone up. You know, you can think about young people who had outlets to go to school, after-school programs, and now they weren't doing that during COVID. So mental health, food issues, housing issues were a lot more elevated during COVID. So the need for mentorship was even greater. So we've been doubling down to get people to sign up to be Big Brothers and Big Sisters, to mentor young people, to defend potential. That's what we talk about a lot. Because young people are going through really tough times, that were going through tough times before COVID, and more so during COVID.
And how are you doing that? I mean, is it virtual? I mean, so how are you still being reaching them?
Yeah, we pivoted to virtual during COVID. We actually just moved our office from Midtown to the west side of Atlanta to be more intentional about the work, to be in the community, to recruit more Big Brothers and Big Sisters from those communities. And we're going to be actually setting up satellites in high-need parts of Atlanta to better serve the community. So we've been very intentional in recruiting people, and they're glad to be on your show to talk about the need. We got about 500 kids on a waiting list here in Atlanta, 30,000 kids across the country on a waiting list, mostly boys, mostly kids of color. So it's really about the community coming together to support young people, even more so now that they need the support more.
What are the requirements? Or somebody out there who's watching or listening and they say, hey, man, I'm interested in this. What are the requirements? What's the time commitment? Is there economic commitment for them to be involved?
So no economic commitment. This is something everyone can do. You know, I tell people no one can create new time. We're all busy, right? We're all running around doing different things. But incorporate this young person in your existing time. I do it myself. I'm a CEO of an organization. We can all do this. We ask for 8 to 12 hours a month at a minimum, but you're bringing this young person along with you in your journey in life. So this is not something new time you have to create. This is something anyone can do that's 21 and up and cares about kids.
Let's do this here. We decrease this audio, please. We talk about again. So so what's the average time commitment that someone invests?
So we ask for a year commitment up front.
Okay.
We know if you come in a young person's life and you leave within a year, you can actually do more damage. We ask for you to spend 8 to 12 hours a month. This is something that anyone can do that wants to defend the potential of young people. It's not, you're not adopting this young person. This is not foster care. This is really spending some time with a young person and helping them navigate life. This is something I've been doing, my whole entire career. When I was 17, I was in prison. And I met a young person named Anthony. And I met him in the hole. And he kept coming back to the hole. And I said to him one time, I said, Anthony, why do you keep coming back to the hole? And he said something to me that started my journey on this, defending young people. He said, Kwame, your father comes to see you every week. He said, I met my father here for the first time, and he's in the next unit.
Wow.
Fast forward 15 years, I joined Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I get matched with a young man named Anthony, right? And I've been able to do it, fit it into my life. This is something anybody can do. It's really about helping young people and defending their potential.
When you talk about the waiting list, 500 in this in Atlanta, 30,000 across the country, and you say most of them are young black men?
Yes, young boys. Yep, young black boys, boys of color. There's been a huge uptick in Atlanta with crime and violence and young people getting involved in different things that they shouldn't be involved in. And my suggestion has been not to have more cops, cameras, and curfews, because that's what most cities do. And there's definitely a need for police. I support police. I believe in community policing, for example. But just locking young people up is just going to be part of the whole mass incarceration deal. We know that does not work. Instead, we got to address some of these root causes and these root problems that young people are facing around food, housing, mental health. That's why some of these young people are making these bad decisions. But as we as a community come in and address some of those issues, we can avoid having to resort to just more cops, cameras, and curfews.
All right, then. If somebody wants to reach out and connect, how do they do so?
Go to our website. We're in pretty much every city. You can go to Big Brothers Big Sisters, whatever city you're in. We'd love to have you here in Atlanta. We got about 500 kids on our waiting list. We need more people who are trying to help defend potential of young people and help young people reach their full potential. And that's what it's all about.
Kwame Johnson, we appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
Thanks a lot.
Thank
all right, good luck.
Yep, thank you.
Folks, when we come back, we're going to talk transportation, mobility. How vital is that for African Americans to improve their lot in lives? It's something that a lot of people just simply assume and take for granted. No, it is a real issue. That is next. We'll also talk about reprogramming or retraining the minds of Black America when it comes to success. And we'll hear from Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo about the work that he's doing all across the globe as a global NBA advisor or ambassador. All of that, Roland Martin Unfiltered at the Just Brothers meeting here in Atlanta, broadcasting on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
White supremacy ain't just about hurting black folk.
Right.
We got to deal with it. It's injustice. It's wrong.
I do feel like in this generation, we've got to do more around being intentional and resolving conflict.
You and I have always agreed.
Yeah.
But we agree on the big piece.
Yeah.
Now, conflict is not about destruction.
Conflict's going to happen.
All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore, it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website, and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, Y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club.
Hello, everyone. I'm Godfrey, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered. And while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble.
All right, folks, welcome back. Lots of conversation in Congress when it comes to raising taxes, not only on corporations, but also the individual tax rate. What could the impact be on African Americans? Joining us right now is Earl Peak. He is in, as we just say, he in the money business.
Yes,
in the money business. Earl, glad to have you here. What's the name of the company?
Diamond Ventures.
And that is?
Diamond Ventures is a venture capital and finance firm. We deploy capital for the Black Economic Development Fund. We also advise corporations and governments on deploying capital both in the United States and private companies.
A lot of folks say that corporations are not paying enough in this country. There should be an increase in the corporate tax rate. It was cut by Donald Trump. Also, President Joe Biden and Democrats are talking about raising the highest income tax bracket to what it was pre-Trump. Your thoughts on those moves?
I think that it's going to be very important. We've come out of a crisis. Now we have to restore revenue back to the budget. Right now we have many of these finance programs. You have the CARE Act, you have the stimulus bill, you have the American Rescue Act. These are all responsibilities of the American people to bring our country back, and we need taxes to help balance the budget so that we're not in a deficit space.
And one of the things that I'm constantly also trying to explain to people in terms of where we are is that when we look at the amount of money, corporations are parking so much cash. I forgot, one of the banks literally said, hey, y'all got to send y'all money elsewhere.
Yep.
Now, I ain't never heard that.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you in terms of where we are, but it becomes so political because you got Republicans who say, oh, no, you can't actually do that. Right. That's good. And that's when all of a sudden, that's going to hurt black-owned businesses, hurt small businesses. But how in the heck do you also pay for stuff if you're at your corporate rate at the lowest in decades?
Well, right now there was some tax laws that were changed that was supposed to bring some money back overseas, repatriation of money back over here.
Did it happen?
Which needs to be taxed. Still fuzzy.
Right.
Not really happened.
That didn't happen. This other stuff didn't happen. Right. So all things that were promised didn't happen.
Didn't happen. And it needs to be fixed now in legislation. I don't know if it's a part of the discussion of the stimulus bill and the infrastructure bill and all of that, but somehow we got to balance the revenue against the spending. That's very needed to get these companies back up and going.
And one of the things that's interesting when we have this conversation, and when we talk about increasing black-owned businesses, folk have a totally different view when all of a sudden they see a few more dollars in their pocket with that Trump tax cut.
Right. Yeah, they see this cash flow, but somehow this is a time where you got to be more wise in planning. You got to deal with cash flow. You got to deal with building equity to be in a position like what you talked about in your earlier panels about acquisitions, about mergers, about collaboration, and finding a way to come into an investment fund, even if it's on your block, to do these type of small acquisitions that grow into bigger acquisitions. So we're flush with cash. I tell people there's a lot of candy in the air. Everybody's getting a cavity, but it won't last forever. So this is a time to be wise and do planning, engage our black lawyers, our black CPAs, our black financial professionals to find out how do we build a lasting business that goes beyond the crisis.
And obviously, you're going to have a battle on Capitol Hill when it comes to actually trying to make those changes. What are you telling, where should black businesses be? Because you're going to have some people who say, oh, I don't want to see that increase. That's just going to hurt me.
Well, Roland, one of the things I met with the Deputy Secretary of Commerce with a bunch of black leaders, some of who were in this room a couple of weeks ago. There's a plethora of cash over there for infrastructure and for connectivity and for telecommunications. These are the digital ways to deal with the future, the digital infrastructure and to build the human infrastructure. And they have to take all of this and build it into a thesis that comes up with a solid business foundation.
Okay. All right. Well, look, we'll see what happens. It's always contentious when you start messing with folk money. And we know a lot of these companies have massive lobbyists. Right. They do not want to see those tax breaks go away. But as you said, at the end of the day, look, if we want to pay for nationwide infrastructure, the money got to come from somewhere.
Got to come from somewhere. You got to raise revenues, and the way to raise revenues is through taxes.
All right.
And all that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Stay right there. All right, folks, going to go to a quick break. We come back. We're going to talk with John Hope Bryant on the need to reprogram Black America. You don't want to miss this conversation. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Atlanta on the Black Star Network.
Black women have always been essential. So now how are you going to pay us like that?
And it's not just the salary. I mean, there are a whole number of issues that have to support us as women.
Yeah. But that's what we deserve. We shouldn't have to beg anybody for that. And I think that we are trying to do our best as a generation to honor the fact that we didn't come here alone and we didn't come here by accident.
I always say every generation has to define for itself what it means to move the needle forward.
I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy.
Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen.
And my concern is that he would grab up that power and really treat the country as sort of his little bully fiefdom.
Donald Trump is everything I taught my children not to do in kindergarten.
He's been exploiting working Americans for 40 years.
He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot.
He says he's for the little guy, but he's actually built a lot of his businesses on the backs of the little guy.
You know, Donald Trump the other day said that, quote, if he tells a soldier to commit a war crime, the soldier will just go do it.
And I don't think Donald Trump has even read the Constitution, knows what's in the Constitution.
A toxic mix of demagoguery and mean-spiritedness and nonsense.
I just cannot support Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is a delusional narcissist and an orange-faced windbag.
Donald Trump is a con artist.
He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth.
I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office.
People our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing.
The challenges, there's so many of them and they're complex, and we need to be moving to address them. But I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany, I know this road.
That is so freaking dope.
I'm Deion Cole, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
All right, folks, welcome back to Atlanta. This is the Just Brothers meeting, and it was John Hope Bryant, the founder of Operation Hope, who invited me to speak to this group. I don't know what the hell he asked me to talk about, but I guess I'll figure that out since I'll be speaking in about 45 minutes. Of course, we had John on the show before. The work that they do, helping folks fix their credit scores and deal with financial literacy is vitally important. He's also the author of a couple of books. One of them is called The Memo. And John, welcome back to the show.
Honored to be with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show, the cameras, the masters. As in nobody is his master. It means he owns the publishing masters. No different than Prince or Michael Jackson owns their publishing masters. This is the same concept. And so people don't realize the importance of somebody owning their own content. So when I called Roland and asked him, did he want to come down, he didn't have to go check with 15 people or go to a committee. It was a committee.
Or ask permission.
Or ask permission. He just said, yes, I'm doing it, and brought his whole crew here mobile. We need social justice through an economic lens now. And the new color is actually not black or white or red or blue. It's actually green. And you are walking your talk. You're expressing your principles through your economic power, who you're hiring, who you're contracting with. I was listening to some of this show, everybody needs to go back and watch this show again. I mean, you experienced the only city in America where black folks are running almost everything. And it's not to the exclusion of anybody else. We invite everybody here. In fact, I think that's really the way it worked, is that it's been inclusive. But we decided not to argue in the 60s about who were at a water fountain, but who got the contract, right? And so you have the biggest black business in America for real estate. Herman Russell's business, his son was here. You've had Tommy Dorsch, 100 Black Men of America, and his business is here. You got a brother coming up who's running a $4 billion budget with the BeltLine. Great brother, Clyde. You got all these heroes and sheroes who are doing stuff in the South Coast, in the moral capital of America, the 10th largest economy in the U.S., Atlanta, Georgia. And this is an example of where diversity and inclusion helps all boats to rise. And I would like to see other cities model what's happening here in Atlanta. It's not perfect. We got problems galore, but we're working on all of them. And when folks have a meeting in Atlanta, folks show up. I mean, it could be 7 a.m. and the ballroom is packed with folks who are serious about transformational change. So we wanted you to come here and see it for yourself, experience it, and share it, the Atlanta model, with others.
We talk about, we also talk about this idea of reprogramming. That's the phrase that I use. You use another phrase. It's the exact same thing.
A reset, software upgrade.
Yeah, software upgrade. And the thing for me is it's just like, so I made it the other day. So we launched almost 2 weeks ago. We launched Black Star Network. We launched it.
Congratulations.
We announced on September 2nd.
Folks have no idea what that is. Just subscribe to it.
And the thing that is very interesting that I try to walk people through, I walked them through, I said, so 620,000 followers on Instagram, 619,000 followers on Twitter, 1.3 million followers on Facebook, 798,000 followers on YouTube. So that's 3.3 million.
Right.
And so...
And by the way, my 2.5 million are mostly because of you, because you told me to go do this stuff the first time. So really you got 5, 6 million. We're going to go ahead.
And the thing here that I explain to people, so that's 3.3 million on those social media platforms that we don't own.
Right.
So I'm trying to hit 10,000 downloads on Black Star Network.
Right.
And what I'm trying to explain to people is, even, let's just say 10% of the total of the other platforms shift over to Black Star Network.
Yeah.
We're now at 300,000 downloads.
Right.
Completely changes the conversation when it comes to going to advertisers.
Right.
In terms of viewership. What Isaac Hayes III is doing with his app fan base. Has audio rooms just like Clubhouse.
Yep.
Has photos and videos just like Instagram.
Yep.
Black people made Clubhouse a $4 billion valuation in 9 months.
Yep.
And I said, we can make fan base sexy and it's black owned.
Yep.
It's getting our folks to understand that if we make they stuff sexy, what happens, we make our stuff sexy and we own it and we control it.
Yeah, the new movement has to go, said another way, in my view, we got to go from a movement in the streets, civil rights, marching, to a new movement in the business suites, civil rights, partnerships, prosperity, economic opportunity. And the best way to stop a bullet in our neighborhoods, as you know, is a job, right? We got to create jobs. You mentioned this earlier. Most of our black businesses don't have an employee, right? I mean, I own the largest owner of single-family, people know me from Operation Hope, but I also am the largest owner of single-family rental homes in America, a person of color, not just black, of color. I own 700 homes in Atlanta and North Florida. Well, 65% of my vendors are black. Plumbers, lighting, electrical, roofing, landscaping, painting. I'm going to miss something obvious. Help me. Roofing.
Anything to do with houses.
Anything to do with housing. I'm going to pay you a minimum living wage and give you a good contract, right? It's not welfare. It's not a handout, and it's not one-time charity. This is renewable philanthropy. I'm going to spend millions of dollars a year in my neighborhoods reinvesting, and the more homes I own, the more infrastructure I have, the more people pay me rent, the more contracts I can give. And so we got to change the game. We got to own the game. I started that company 3 years ago, Promise Homes Company. Didn't even exist before. So this is financial literacy in action. People talk about, well, John, this financial literacy stuff. Can it really transform and change things? It added to my net worth. It's a $125 million platform now. It was zero 3-4 years ago. And everybody watching this can go buy one home you own and one home you rent. Go ahead.
I had a sister who did makeup for our TV One show. And when the show got canceled, she said, Roland, I just got to tell you thank you. I was like, why? She said, hiring me to do makeup on this show changed my life. She said, that's how I was able to buy a house. Now, that was intentional to say, y'all hire makeup artists. No, we need a black makeup artist.
That's right.
Because they're not getting hired at the networks.
That's right.
No. We gonna go find somebody who also know how to do makeup on black people.
You're also creating a feeder system for the networks. As you said, a lot of folks you have hired have now, God bless them, been hired at whoever the network is. And that's a beautiful thing. This young lady here, you gave her a step up. You hit me with somebody last week, and Roland, this is what he does when nobody's looking. Hey, John, his sister owns a home in Atlanta. She's in another state right now. She's tripping out. She needs a plumber or whatever. Well, it just so happens, because I spend so much money with these vendors, I can call somebody immediately and get her attention and probably get it done for free or whatever, the discount. But it was wonderful for me to feel that I could help somebody on a business basis.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know. I don't fix toilets. So I was like, well, I know somebody in Atlanta.
You probably know how.
No, but I'm saying, I know somebody in Atlanta who's in this space. Here's a connect, and that's.
But that's what everybody else does. You guys watching this? You hearing? This is what mainstream America does. This is what Asian America does. This is what Latino America does. This is what everybody does but us. Everybody's used the capitalist and free enterprise system to set them free, except you and me, right? We got to knock this stuff off, right? We got to, oh, I hate rich people. No, you don't. Stop lying. You hate rich people until you become rich, right? What you hate is a game system. Stop lying, right? We say, oh, we want to be socialists. You don't even know what a socialist is, right? Even if you want to distribute money like a socialist, you got to first collect it like a capitalist, right? So that's why we're starting at 1 million black businesses with Shopify, $130 million commitment, create 1 million new black businesses in America. And Tommy Dortch is involved with that. A lot of these brothers are involved with that. We're commingling prosperity, commingling community involvement, commingling up from nothing. That's why we're launching financial literacy for all. Me and the CEO of Walmart launching that effort, get all the Fortune 500 companies involved. We got a platform, Roland. A whole new generation of priorities, of leadership, of efforts. You gave me this inspiration, and we need to give it to the indirect credit to the Reverend. Third Reconstruction.
Third Reconstruction.
Me and the Reverend mean something different by it.
Reverend William Barber.
William Barber, but much credit to him. The title I love. I mentioned this. He said, yeah, John, somebody's already doing that, so I'm giving proper credit. I stole his idea and moved it into economics.
Yeah, well, I had been using Third Reconstruction. Then when I got his book, it was Third Reconstruction. I was like, good. I said, and then when you did yours, I was like, hey, let's not come up with a different term. Hell, let's use the same term and start driving Third Reconstruction.
So this is it. It's civil rights. It's social justice through an economic lens. It's a hand up, not a handout. It's teach you how to fish. You don't need to beg for a fish. Can I get an amen? It's about building black wealth and our prosperity, financial literacy for all, black wealth through 1 million black business, and corporate inclusion initiative. I haven't launched that yet, but giving blacks on boards of directors. This is how you change hiring, management, decisions, investment, and how our communities collect wealth. An inner city in France, it's called Paris. Why are we running away from America's inner cities? They're gold mines. They're gold mines. We should be buying up everything in our sight.
In fact, it's interesting. I don't know how many years ago, probably 4 or 5, I guess, the National Urban League had their State of Black America report.
Right.
And they had this televised event. It was on TV One. I moderated it. And the focus was on gentrification.
Yep.
So at one point, literally, I turned. I was like, I'm sorry. I said, we're having a conversation about gentrification. I said, don't we know it's for sale? I said, you know what? I said, Mark, we should come back next year, and the Urban League should have a fund that was launched to literally acquire land, property. I said, I'm sorry. I'm no longer interested in coming to these events bitching about the problem, but we're not spending twice as much.
That works, he owns it.
That's right. Twice as much time laying down the solution to the very problem we're complaining about. That, to me, that's why anytime I do one of these panels, my whole deal is like, no, how much time are we going to spend on solutions?
Yeah, so first of all, kudos to Mark Morial and the Urban League. And we Roland and I both like, our motto is, we like what you're doing much better than what other folks are not doing, right? We are not the perfect the death of the good, but we also need a software upgrade. Like Urban League's done their job and they're essential. NAACP's done their job and they're essential. That was created 100 years ago, 100 plus years ago. We need a new generation to build on that, to complement that, not to replace it, of new leaders that complement that. We need to go from cashing checks to writing them. right. We need to,
or endorsing them.
Or endorsing
them.
Like
somebody, I think I said that. Somebody said, was like, well, man, what you doing? I was like, no. I said, I am endorsing a check.
That's right. Ownership. What he means is, he's going to give that check as philanthropy or make that check as an investment, but that's probably a check for services rendered, which means you control your talent. You are human capital. You are involved in the capitalist system, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
The only question is whether you use it or it uses you, right? What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled.
Led astray, run amok.
So we got to take control of our own narrative. We've got to own our own product. We have to own our own content. We have to own our own street, own our own blocks. Dr. King's grandfather, A.D. Williams, owned all that land around the King Center. Nobody knows this. Dr. King's father, Daddy King, served on the board of a bank for 40 years, Citizens Trust Bank. Nobody knows that. He preached on Sunday and banked on Monday. Nobody knows that. The reason that Dr. King could work for free is that his daddy and granddaddy owned everything, right?
There you go.
But when the neighbor across the street didn't want young Martin to play with his son, white merchant, Daddy King had to remind the white merchant that he was leasing property underneath his land. Boom.
So bringing modern day.
By the way, he became much nicer after that.
I'm quite sure. Bringing modern day. Salamander Resort, Middleburg, Virginia.
Oh, yeah, owned by a black woman.
Sheila Johnson.
Yeah.
So if any of y'all go to Middleburg, and if y'all go to the Salamander Cafe, so she opened a cafe. What y'all don't know is I think that was a gun shop or a pawn shop. I forgot, something like that. But the problem was there was this massive Confederate flag that was being flown outside of the building. It used to be flown.
Oh, okay.
Outside of the building.
Amen.
Until the building got purchased.
That's right.
Now.
By her, right?
By her.
Yeah.
The flag is no longer there.
No screaming, no hollering, no protesting.
Now, but here's the thing that, for somebody who's listening.
No name calling.
For somebody who's listening, people don't understand. She was able to do that because Bobbin Johnson and Sheila Johnson sold BET.
That's right. $1
now,
billion.
$3.3 billion.
Thank you, $3.3 billion.
Now, when we've had a conversation about this here, and this is for the people who keep telling me I'm wrong for going after these companies when it comes to advertising. BET was getting $1,500. Well,
this is our thing,
right? Because we've tried the nice approach, we still broke.
No, you're not broke. You're doing really well. You got 5 cameras.
I'm saying
you're doing really well.
I'm saying collectively, we tried the nice approach. It ain't worked.
Right.
But here's the deal.
Yeah.
BET was getting $1,500 per 30-second ad, while MTV was getting $8,000. When CBS Viacom bought it, they saw that and said, "Oh, we can get $8,000 per ad." If BET was getting fair market value, $8,000 the whole time, Bob and Sheila could have sold 1/3 of BET for the same $3.3 billion.
Yeah, but they're not crying about the $3 billion.
No. So what I'm trying to unpack here is there's several things. One, they sold the company, which allowed them to be able to acquire other things, and they actually have more black employees today than they had with BET.
Nice.
But the flip side is that if we're getting fair market value, then we're in a position to still own that and still be able to sell a portion and still go buy other stuff. So what I'm trying to get people to understand is when we're talking about leveraging capital, when we're talking about getting fair share, it's not this, oh, you just trying to get something. No. It's when we are able to get something, when multiple businesses, multiple companies are able to grow, everybody can eat. It's not just one person eating.
Yeah.
But I need people who complain to go, well, man, why are you doing that? Because it's not just about if Roland Martin Unfiltered gets money. It's the number of other black-owned entities as well.
Yeah, so Roland is right about this issue. Let me just say that. We differ on style, but he's right about this issue. My philosophy is talk without being offensive, listen without being defensive, of even your adversary their dignity. Roland shakes the cage and waits for something to drop out the bottom. Different style. Both approaches are
Or the words of
important.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, he said, I'm the tree shaker.
Yeah, and you the movie maker from the tree shaker.
That's what he said, the tree shaker.
But we agree that the change has to happen. So it just different styles, different approaches. Now my point is this: we're both going the same place, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking the reason that Just Brothers exists, there's no membership fee here. This group doesn't exist. You can't find it on the internet, right? It's because me and Tommy Dortch write a check. A few other brothers, we write a check from our money. Operation Hope, which is another of my philanthropies, writes a check to this nonprofit. It's just some private brothers. This is black money fueling a black group of brothers trying to do something positive in their neighborhood. And we're sitting in Black Wealth, Dikembe's home right now, his home studio. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That's not a negative on anybody else. That's not a knock on anybody else. It's self-determination. The more I can grow my real estate company or Operation Hope or any other, the more I can do for
there you go.
Everybody else.
There you go.
And so this is about getting off the. Stop being a spectator. Stop being a spectator. Stop spending all your time talking about somebody else's celebrity, and get into the game. You need to be a hunter, a skinner, or a cook. Okay, you got to pick a role. And now every family needs a hunter, a skinner, and a cook. Every company needs a hunter, a skinner, and a cook. Hunter is the salesperson. The skinner is the analyst. The cook is the person who developed the product. Figure out what your role is, and create a team. And then go get at one of these priorities for our self-reliance in this 10-year of the third Reconstruction, from the year 2020 to the year 2030. What happens in the next 10 years will set the course for the next 100 for our people and for the world. Don't sit around whining and complaining about how bad things are. Go do something about it.
I'll also add...
Right now.
I'll also add, in the last point before we go to break, it also don't... And this is the thing that really irks me, and it's always irked me since I was a kid. And that is, I'm not going to waste time going, man, look at that. This person over here just talking mess and got 3,000 folks watching right now. Roland, why you got 1,600? My whole deal is, I'm focused on the 16. I'm not going to focus. So people say,
"What's your cumulative views?" I mean, if I'm 100 million, you must be 500 million.
We did 330 million last year.
Oh, see
and
that he just had to rub it in. I'm 100 million total.
No,
I've done 300 million last year. So
right, no, I'm
the cumulative effect of
no. We're at 500 million. Yes, we did 100 million. Yeah. We did 100 million our first year.
I see your broadcast in my sleep.
330 million the second year.
I can't turn on social media without seeing one of your broadcasts.
There you go.
But he owns it. Do you want to have 10% of something or 100% of nothing?
But see, I'm trying to get us to stop whining, complaining about, well, man, it's like this person over here, they got 5 million followers. I'm like, that's great. I'm going to focus what we're doing over here. And it's focus. It's focus. Yes. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people, they get off focus when they're, to your point, when they're whining and complaining about something versus, y'all, if 5,000 people right now want to go listen to mess, and 2,000 want to listen to this conversation, I'm going to focus on the 2,000, and then I'm going to tell the 2,000, y'all should be bringing one person each.
So we need to stop talking about floss riches and start talking about real wealth. Floss riches is enough money to pay your rent or your mortgage, pay your car note, and go on vacation once a year and buy you a suit. By the way, this is a black-owned company, even makes my suit. My landscaper is out in the lobby, Jamel Thomas. But just this sort of floss riches, which is what black folks tend to do, is not real wealth. Real wealth you build in your sleep. Please pay attention to me. Please, please, please. Riches is a paycheck, okay? And it can go away. That's why somebody can get a $100 million contract and poof, it's gone in 3 to 5 years, right? Dikembe, who's coming up to speak to you, he made some money in the NBA, but he really made his wealth in business. Any billionaire you know in the arts or in sports, they made their billions in business, not in front of a camera. You build wealth in your sleep. It's called compounding. His vault of publishing grows up in value when he sleeps. He licenses it when he sleeps. My real estate has gone up $40 million in 15 months. I didn't do anything magic about it other than go and buy it, rehab it, take care of it, and hold it. They aren't growing any more land. Stop whining about, oh, there's going to be a recession. Okay, of course there is. Also, you know, the sun's going to come up and go down tomorrow, too, and somebody's going to be racist against you. So what? But let me tell you something. There's four things that have never gone bad in America's history. Real estate values have never gone down. They've done this and done this and done this. And done this, correction, and done this. Stock market values, same thing. GDP, gross domestic product for America, has never gone down, even with recessions and depressions. And the fortunes of a college-educated white man has never gone in reverse, right? But three of those things are available to you. Stock market, real estate, I'm not talking about complicated stuff, and participating in the economy, which then sets you free to do whatever you want to do. Roland Martin goes where he wants, does what he wants, talks to who he wants, curses out who he wants, obviously with Mr. Christie a few days ago.
I didn't curse him out.
Oh, you didn't curse him out. No, it just sounded like a curse out. No, you just tell him the truth.
I just hit him with that punch Ali hit Sonny Liston with. Boom! Yeah, he didn't see it coming.
So watching this is a great example. Just to close this out, my wife is upset with you, Shaitra, because you come in town and you don't come see her. But so Shaitra,
they live way the hell out.
We live 15 minutes from the airport. You know,
they
just bougie.
15 minutes from the airport.
You're just bougie.
But when I'm coming downtown, they on the other side of the airport.
That's right. You're just bougie. People,
okay.
He's just bougie. The second thing is Shaitra's father is Dr. David Dalton. You never heard that name before? He's the 22nd largest black-owned business in America. Check the BE list, Black Enterprise list. $250 million a year in revenue. He doesn't have a website. No one's ever heard him. It's in the medical field. He built, with two Jewish guys, Rite Aid, from 40 locations to 4,000, I think it was. And he tried to get a job as a, he then bought people's drugstore. He tried to get a job as a pharmacist. He couldn't get the job in his little hometown. So when he became with the guy in charge of locations at Rite Aid, he put a Rite Aid next to the location of the pharmacists who wouldn't hire him and put them out of business. Now, today he says he feels a little bad about that because he doesn't think that racist guy knew what he was doing. He was just ignorant. But the point is, Dr. Dalton didn't have to scream, didn't have to holler. He's your style.
I ain't got a problem with it.
But isn't it beautiful to have two brothers in the same family with basically top 100 businesses from different genres, and it's completely legal. We pay our taxes, we employing people. This is the vision for our people. Own something. I don't care what you own. Own a toothbrush. But own it. Own a toothbrush in your own house. Own some stock. Whatever you flossing, whatever you wearing.
That's right.
You wearing some Nike shoes, get you some Nike stock.
That's right.
You go into Target, then own one share of Target stock. You go on to McDonald's, own some McDonald's. Own one share of whatever it is, the 10 things where you shop. Own it, because then you get, as a shareholder, rights to all their financials, to vote at their shareholder meeting, to have a say in how these big companies comport in our neighborhoods.
All right. John Hope Bryant, I appreciate it. Tell people of the book that they should get.
Up From Nothing is the last book. The memo is the second from that. But go to Operation Hope. More importantly, go get you some free financial coaching at Operation Hope. It's free 99, everybody. Free 99. Costs you nothing. Free financial coaching. We raise credit scores 54 points in 6 months, 120 points in 24 months. Nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. So go get some. We're in 30 states.
All right, we appreciate it. Folks, coming up, we're going to talk transportation, mobility, and we'll chat with Dikembe Mutombo. Next on Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting on the Black Star Network, the black-owned Black Star Network. Rich. No, I ain't rich. I'm trying to get rich. We're going to get there. Back in a moment.
George Floyd's death hopefully put another nail in the coffin of racism.
You talk about awakening America. It led to a historic summer of protest.
I hope our younger generation don't ever forget that nonviolence is soul force.
Priceless.
Before Till's murder, we saw struggle for civil rights as something grown-ups did.
I feel that the generations before us have offered a lot of instruction. Organizing is really one of the only things that gives me the sanity and makes me feel purposeful.
When Emmett Till was murdered,
yeah,
that's what attracted our attention.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Hi, y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, you want to understand how African Americans have been able to grow. It's also transportation. A lot of people, obviously, who do not have cars. But if you look at a lot of the major cities, whether it's buses and subways, they have played a huge role in the mobility of folks. Joining us right now is Clyde Higgs with Atlanta BeltLine, of course, that plays a significant role in this city. How big is it, and how many passengers are you serving?
So the Atlanta BeltLine, Roland, started in 2006. And this is an outgrowth of the city of Atlanta. So it's really interesting. So when people think about Atlanta, you think about all sorts of positive things. One of our challenges, if we're being honest, is the traffic, the challenges there. So what the BeltLine is trying to do is provide transportation options within the city of Atlanta. So that means a multi-use trail system, that means light rail. And so what we're trying to do is create these whole communities within the city of Atlanta where you don't necessarily have to get in a car to get to a grocery store, to get to a job, to get to housing, to get to amenities. We're trying to create these pockets around this 22-mile loop. Again, a trail, there will be light rail all around in the city of Atlanta.
And see, what a lot of people don't realize is, if you read the history of Robert Moses, how highways were built, split up black neighborhoods. They also don't realize how in a lot of cities there's a reason you don't have subway stops in certain areas, or where they do have public transportation, they don't extend out to suburban areas because they said, no, we don't want folks hopping on those trains coming out here for jobs. And so there has been racism in the public transportation business.
That legacy, that is the wonderful piece. When I became CEO for Atlanta BeltLine, Inc., this is the part that really charges me up. Because if we think about infrastructure and the history of it, you got to think about what infrastructure did. You're right. It actually separated communities. But what we're doing with the Atlanta BeltLine is we're flipping that, and we're actually going to connect 45 distinct neighborhoods within the city of Atlanta. That is unheard of. And so really excited about it. I know some people, when they hear the word transportation, they start to kind of glaze over like, transportation. But it is, and again, I'm biased here, but it is perhaps the most exciting redevelopment project within the city of Atlanta, perhaps the entire Southeast.
And just like we talk about city, county, school, we're talking about a significant budget that spends money, and who you spend money with matters.
Absolutely. So one of the things that happened in March of this year is there was a special assessment that was passed to help complete the rest of the BeltLine trail network. So roughly we're going to raise about $350 million. And one of the things, if we talk about the spirit of Maynard, what we are going to do is push 50% of that construction budget, which is roughly going to be $300 million, to DBE firms within the city of Atlanta. That is significant. And you have to be, and again, you talked about your earlier guest, being intentional. That's what we're doing within the city of Atlanta with the Atlanta BeltLine, is being intentional to make sure that the wealth, that the opportunity for those construction contracts are spread out within the DBE community.
And again, that's the thing that I'm constantly trying to get people to understand. When you talk about public dollars, there are a lot of white-owned firms that became mega millionaires through public dollars, school board dollars, through construction, through engineering, through architecture, through communications, all of that.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head, and that's what we can do with the BeltLine project. So as we finish this off, because ultimately the program is going to be over $4 billion, but when we finish, what we want to leave is a legacy of black-owned businesses within the city of Atlanta that said, you know what, I was a part of the Atlanta BeltLine, and so when we finish, when we go away, that you have the capacity that we helped to create. And again, that's all in the spirit of kind of what Maynard did with the airport. And we're trying to do that in a much smaller way than what Maynard did, but still trying to push that envelope.
Okay. All right, then. Well, certainly good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully we'll learn more about it, and it will serve as a model for other cities.
Absolutely. Thank you much.
I appreciate it.
All
Thanks so
right,
much.
all right. Appreciate it. All right.
I'm going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo. He's our host. We'll talk to him about being a global ambassador for basketball. That is next on the Roland Martin Show. And also, you're watching on the Black Star Network, and I got some good news coming up about that. I'll tell you when we come back.
Before Till's murder, we saw struggle for civil rights as something grown-ups did.
I feel that the generations before us have offered a lot of instruction. Organizing is really one of the only things that gives me the sanity and makes me feel purposeful.
When Emmett Till was murdered, that's what attracted our attention.
You get Black history by default. And so no other craft could carry as many words as rap music.
I try to intertwine that and make that create whatever I'm supposed to send out to the universe.
A rapper, for the longest period of time has gone through phases.
I love the word. I hate what it's become, and to this generation, the way they visualize it.
Its narrative kind of like has gotten away and spun away from, I guess, the ascension of Black people.
I believe that people our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing.
The challenges, there's so many of them and they're complex, and we need to be moving to address them. But I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany. I know this road.
That is so freaking dope.
It ain't just about hurting Black folk.
Right.
You got to deal with it. It's injustice. It's wrong.
I do feel like in this generation, we've got to do more around being intentional in resolving conflict.
You and I haven't always agreed.
Yeah.
But we agree on the big piece.
Yeah.
Now, conflict is not about destruction.
Conflict's going to happen.
Hey everybody, it's your man Fred Hammond.
Hi, my name is Brisha Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are here at the Just Brothers meeting in Atlanta. They meet every 45 days, and John Hope Bryant invited me out to address the brothers here, and I said, well, I got to do my show, and then they said, okay, well, we'll make sure you do your show. And then they moved the meeting to the home of Dikembe Mutombo, and I said, well, he taller than 7 feet, so he got some extra room for us to do the show. And so we are here. He is the host of the meeting. He's the host of us doing the show. And my brother, I appreciate. It's always good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hall of Famer, who I call former Houston Rocket. I don't care about the other teams he played for. Yeah, I don't care about the other teams. I'm from Houston.
Hey, we know you're from Texas.
That's right, from H-Town. So, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, no, thanks for having us. He was remarking. He said, y'all just brought a whole studio with y'all, huh?
Yes. I've never seen so many cameras in my house before.
Yeah, well, look, we had, we got to look good because, we sitting here, we stream on I launched the app. And of course we got it going, and so we got to look right now. We got to look right.
Yes, we're looking good.
Yo, you always got to look good. Let's talk about what you're doing. You have your foundation, but you also are really doing some great stuff all around the globe as a global ambassador of basketball, especially in Africa.
Yes, no long time ago we invested $1 billion to launch NBA Africa Basketball League. It went great. It was very successful. We have a great turnout. The game was watched almost over 200 some plus countries. So we are very happy with the step and the progress that we made. And I also launched a Mutombo coffee.
Mutombo coffee?
Yes, you have to know that, Ron. Coffee is a $485 billion commodity trade. And when you look at that, there's no black man in the coffee business. There's no black woman in the coffee business. And all those trades happen with the people from a different ethnicity. So why not us? That's the question that we've been asked. Why not us? Why we cannot be on the table when you know that almost 75% of the coffee comes from Africa.
Boom.
And there's not an African man in the trading floor where the coffee price have been discussed. That has been my debate, and I'm so happy that I put my foot indeed to this game, and I want to be part of this game. I'm tired watching the game from outside.
And that's the thing that I'm constantly talking about when we talk about these vast riches coming out of Africa. 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies are African nations. America talks about the role the Chinese are playing, but guess what? If the United States is not investing in these countries,
somebody else will go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what is happening. The Chinese are controlling almost the entire mining trade right now with cobalt and copper and lithium. Our next electrical car, all the material that go there, it's coming from Africa, straight to China, then to the rest of the world. But there's no an African man who's there in the front to lead even one of the company. So I went out, raised about $1.7 billion with a couple group of investors. Now we're getting some mining concessions.
Y'all went out and raised $1.7 billion?
Yes, and now we're getting also in the business in the Congo. So we have some mining allocated to us, and we're going to start working soon. You have to put your foot in the game, man. You cannot always buy a ticket, go sit in a seat, keep watching the game. Once in a while, you got to say, can I play this game?
Well, and the thing that I never forget, the joke that Chris Rock said. He said, let's be clear, he said, Shaq not rich. The guy who pays Shaq is rich.
Yep.
And the thing, I tell this story all the time. We went to the Houston, Texas football game, and afterwards we were talking with the players and the coaches. And my little nephew, Chris, he probably was 3 at the time. He had a football, and he wanted Wade Phillips, who then defensive coordinator, to sign it. And so Wade goes, Chris, what position you want to play? I said, no. Chris has not been raised to play a position. Chris is being raised to own the team. And he sort of...
That's good. Nice dream.
He sort of stepped back. But again, that's the piece here. Everybody's not going to be grow to 7 feet tall. Everybody won't be able to dribble a basketball. I'm always telling people, you can be in the NBA without playing.
Definitely. A lot of them who never thought that me, Dikembe Mutombo, will have an opportunity to have a piece of ownership in more than 12 teams in Africa today. The league will grow to 30-some plus teams in the next couple of years. The evaluation.
So you have an ownership stake in the league?
In the league. No, in one club, in the league.
All right, then. All right, my brother. So you didn't say that. You didn't add that part. You said, you didn't. Okay, all right, then.
So, I play the game. So many guys will play the game and walk away from the game.
That's right.
But sometimes if the game good, you can stay in the game, but you're doing something that's different. And that's what I choose to do.
How have you, being on the business side, I talked earlier about understanding the business of the business. How have you applied the discipline that was required to be a great basketball player to business?
I use the platform with the gift of talent that God gave to me to play the game of basketball. Met so many wonderful people. And most of the people that I'm talking to them doing business are the people who came to the game. The people who sit in the court side. So many guys would go play the game, and because they're wearing the uniform, and when they finish wearing the uniform, they go straight to the door. They forgot who come, who pay you. That guy who sit on the court side. Have you tried to meet him? Have you tried to ask what his name? what his wife's name, what his kid's name. Those are the things that we need to learn how to do to build life after
building
the game.
relationships.
It's all about relationship. I built the hospital to relationship. I'm building a $4.5 million school that is opening in 4 weeks, from kindergarten to 12th grade, through relationship that people have met through my game. I'm not putting a dime, but I've met so many wonderful people, and I go to them and say, listen, there's kids in Africa who don't have no place to go to school. Can you guys help me put a building for them there? And people came in. It's all to relationship. You cannot be successful in life without relationship. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple if he didn't have a great relationship. If you look at his history, he struggled at the beginning. But through some of the relationship that he did have, they was able to call him back to come back to Silicon Valley to build the Apple company that the way it is. It's not just relationship.
Someone on YouTube, they were asking, they said, where do they get Mutombo coffee? They said, where do they get it?
Oh, you go to mutombocoffee.com or you go to Amazon. You will find me there.
Okay, all right then. Well, look, first of all, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back. I'm going to be here next month. We're going to sit down for a much longer conversation.
Yes.
You know, we do these one-on-ones. I launched this OTT network, and y'all guess y'all get an exclusive here. I'm going to be launching a part of that, a weekly interview series. We've already shot 7. We're going to do about 20 in LA next month and 20 in November. And that way, it's a one-on-one conversation. We can spend a whole hour going over this sort of stuff. Because I know we got the brothers back here. I'm scheduled to speak in 2 minutes. And so I don't want them to be waiting because the Dikembe like, man, y'all need to get out of my house at 9 o'clock. But, man, it's always good to see you. Tell the wife I said hello.
I will make sure.
And we're going to sit down and we're going to have that longer conversation because folks will really get some great stuff out of this.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate
Thank you.
it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, that is it for us. Before we go, guess what? We have hit 10,000 downloads on Black Star Network. And so we appreciate all of you who have downloaded the app already. Of course, we launched it September 4th. And so we hit that in 10 days. And so now let's hit 20,000 downloads. If you have not downloaded, go to Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon TV, Amazon Fire Stick, of course, Samsung TV, Xbox. With all the platforms, you can download it to your Apple phone or your Android phone as well. Again, this is a network that we're building. We're going to have multiple shows. I just told y'all, I broke the news there. I'm going to have solely a one-on-one interview series that's going to be on. I've already interviewed Jack Kay, interviewed Glenn Turman, Bill Duke, Jeffrey Osborne, Richard Lawson, Michael Collier, and I'm missing somebody. No, I haven't done you yet, but I've done those other. They're in the can. So we're going to do these. So we got some great stuff. And so please, we want y'all to also support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Trust me, the dollars that you give, I'm trying to explain to y'all. We've got 2 crew members who are here in Atlanta. When we come places, we hire local talent. When we went to Atlanta, we hire African Americans in L.A. When we were in Atlanta, we did it when we were in Tuskegee, Alabama, when we were in Houston. And so when you support us, you're supporting black businesses as well. And so please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans giving at least $50 a year, $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You can give Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal.me is /R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo.com is /RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We've had people give us as much, little as $1. We've had people give us as much as $30,000. We don't put a number on it. And it's also why the app is free, because we want to expose as many people as possible to this great content. So your contributions really, really make that possible. Folks, I appreciate all of y'all watching us. Share this video. Amazing content. You're not going to get anywhere else. I'm telling you, there's no other platform that's going to give you these kind of experts in 2 hours. And so please share it. Follow us on YouTube. We're about 1,500 away from having 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. And let's now hit 20,000 downloads. We want to be at 50,000 downloads of Black Star Network by December. And so tell a friend. Let's make it happen. Folks, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm back in studio, and I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all know how we always end the show. Holla!